afternoon, Suidlanders. How are you? We hope that you're well. Suidlanders, I want to talk to you briefly this afternoon about. Hang on. I'm just going to check a setting here while I'm online. I believe that the setting is right. It's the setting for the microphone. Yeah, that should be fine. I'd like to talk to you this afternoon briefly about the HQ. Now, there has in the past been some misunderstanding about how all of this fits together. About 3 years ago, Kuni Maria and I and Andre Coetzee and Yvonne Rudman gave a presentation in which we sketched the no and the don. And we also spoke about how the relationship between the HQ and the sectors works. So, first of all, let me address the no and the don, the now and the then. In Suidlanders, we have two fundamental structural concepts. The one pertains to now. How is Suidlanders put together now? Who are the members or the constituent human beings of Suidlanders now, and what is the work that they do? In the now, die no, Suidlanders is very simply an organization structured like any other charity organization, if you like, or voluntary organization, if you like. Similar organizations, and I have used in other videos the example of the Boy Scouts. That might seem a little bit childlike to some people, but let's say the Jukskei Association. All of the little dorpies across South Africa may have Jukskei groups, a Jukskei club. Now those Jukskei clubs probably form little regions. The regions form provinces, and the provinces together make up the South African National Jukskei Association. Excuse me. When I was younger, I belonged to what was known as SLASA, the Surf Life-Saving Association of South Africa. And the club to which I belonged was Amanzimtoti. And the Amanzimtoti and the Warner Beach and the Winkelspruit and the Scottborough and the Port Edward, Margate clubs made up the south coast of Natal region of the National Surf Life-Saving Association. And the south coast of Natal and the north coast of Natal made up the Natal province of the Surf Life-Saving Association of South Africa. And all in all, there was the National Association. And that's how Suidlanders is composed now. You know this already. Your local group is part of a region. Your region and other regions comprise a province. We have 34 or 35 provinces, and together those provinces make up Suidlanders now. However, in a time of crisis, everything is going to change. The illustration that I gave when we gave the presentation in Primrose that was arranged by Eric Bornman was that you might consider a caterpillar and the chrysalis in the cocoon and the moth. So we're now the caterpillar, and the chrysalis cocoon phase is the movement from our provinces and our regions and our groups, our suburban areas, to our sectors to execute the National Emergency Plan. There's kind of a transition phase in between. A phase when people are moving in their groups, regions and provinces, but into their sectors. So I've always thought that it was an ideal comparison. The caterpillar, the chrysalis, and the moth or butterfly. There's a period in between when you are half both and half neither. Okay. So then we speak about the Don. The Don is all about sectors. Ontvangsektorre. A line of sectors 800 kilometers long, intended to receive other vluchtelinge, refugees, and people wanting to regroup with us in a safe zone where we can effect a national emergency plan. In a region of the country, behind these sectora, this line of sectors, in a region of the country where there's adequate food, adequate water, and demographic advantage. And that I'm not even going to go into, excuse me, scratching the back of my neck, I'm not even going to go into it because it really is self-explanatory. Why we, as the white people of South Africa, if engaged or when engaged in a national emergency plan under conditions of nationwide anarchy, would wish to seek out a region in which we may find demographic favor. Okay. So we've spoken about the No and the Don, and you've got an idea of the sectors. The sectors, as we've discussed before, will be populated by the various provinces. The province and the region and the group of which you form a part. They shall occupy the sectors, populate them. And I'm not going to go into more of that because your provincial, regional, and group leaders are better qualified than I am to describe the nitty-gritty details of that to you. Right. Now, I want to talk to you about the relationship between the HQ and the sectors. I was never on the border during South Africa's Bush War or border war in Angola and in the far north of Southwest Africa, Namibia as it is called today. So I'm not going to speak as an expert, but I think that as a layman, I can give you a simple description that makes a lot of sense. Imagine for yourself that in those days, within the borders of South Africa, there was an army command structure, and there were training regiments, and those various regiments and the command structure and the different departments of the army, logistics and transport and infantry and intelligence and so on and so forth, signals and engineers, the list goes on, would support the veggroepe, the battle groups deployed in Angola. Remember, I'm just giving you a simple example as a non-expert. So there's somebody behind the lines supporting at all times those people who are carrying out the hard work on the front lines. Oom Jan van der Merwe is in charge of provinces now, in the now, in die nou, and also sectors in die dan. And it makes a lot of sense because the provinces will develop those sectors. The provinces will erect, so to speak, those sectors. The provinces will populate those sectors. The provinces will carry out the national emergency plan through those sectors. And those sectors must be supported with food and water and manskap and medical and communications and so on and so forth. And that support must come from the HQ, or more particularly the departments in the HQ. Now, most of you will be aware that our department system is really quite simple. We have a department of VBS, Vlugteling Beheer Centrum, under Oom Frik de Villiers. Oom Frik de Villiers is the head of VBS, and the purpose of VBS is to assist in the process of people leaving unsafe areas and going towards their sectors. So Vlugteling Beheer Centrum, that is translated in English, Refugee Control Center. The next department that we have is called Ontvangs. That is headed by Justin de Villiers, no relative of Oom Frik de Villiers, by the way. Justin's department, Ontvangs, or in English, Receiving's purpose is to receive people entering each of those sectors and to assist them where needs be. For instance, some people will be traumatized through events that they may have experienced in their flight. That's the first. And to deploy people into the right roles and functions within the sector. So let us say, for instance, that my family was, I'm just going to slightly adjust this camera, and I hope that it doesn't distract anybody too much. Let's say that I and my family fled Johannesburg, and we arrived at a certain sector. It may be that my children and their moms are terribly traumatized by things that they witnessed along the way, and they may need some medical help or some counseling or spiritual help and so on. But at some point very early on in the process, Justin de Villiers and his people, his Ontvangs people, are going to say to us, "Hey, Simon, you better make yourself useful now. And look at your sons. Gee, those strapping lads. Let this one do that. Let that one get involved here. And let the other one go there. And what about their moms? Goodness me, this one has a talent for this. This one has done medical courses. That one has a skill. This one cooks very well. Let them participate in this sector in X, Y, and Z roles." That's really quite simple and very straightforward. Okay, so let's skip back again to the HQ. The HQ's next department would be communications. That is one of the most vital aspects of Suidlander's National Emergency Plan. So just like VBS and Ontvangs, which are national departments headquartered in the HQ, the real work is going on in the sectors. And that is why for so many years Mr. Miller and others have encouraged so strongly that every group, every family participating in Suidlanders, every single one, must have a radio. It's vital. It's something that everybody must have. The next department is security under Andre Coetzee. The next department is under Wesselskeepers, a function similar to security, but more along the lines of weerbaarheid. Able-bodiedness is the translation in at least one dictionary, but with a suggestion perhaps more of defensibility. And between Andre Coetzee and Wesselskeepers, they cover policing internally, disciplinary matters, guards, bodyguards, and so on. We have the Department of Logistics, the largest of all of our departments. Again, headquartered in the HQ, but purely working to serve the needs, or mostly working to serve the needs, to support the requirements of the logistics functions within each of the sectors. In the same way, to go back to my earlier analogy, in the same way that an infantry school in South Africa may have deployed young infantrymen to a vechtgroep in Angola, or in the same way that the transport department, I don't know, would it be called a department? I'm not sure, in the SADF in Pretoria may furnish vehicles to the front lines in Angola. Again, I speak as a layman. Oom Jan van der Merwe and Colonel Wynand du Toit would do a far more intelligent job of what I'm describing, but I'd like to believe that it's simple enough for everybody to understand the way that I am describing it, and that it's not incorrect. Not so fancy, but not incorrect. Okay, so you begin to get the idea. The HQ is being set up right at the moment in anticipation of a crisis. The HQ is headed by Eric Bornman. Eric Bornman, whom many of you will know as the former head of East Rand Province, and who now lives in Orania, and who is now the head of, I hope I get this right, Noord-Oos-Kaap of Oos-Noord-Kaap, is also the head of the HQ. The HQ will be erected in a location which is not known to me, and which is only known to 2 or 3 most senior Suidlanders personnel. The idea is that at a time that crisis might be approaching, we would begin to say to people, we don't know what tomorrow holds, but it certainly looks as if the writing is on the wall and things are about to get interesting. We recommend that those of you, members of the HQ, members of the departments of the HQ, the officers, come down and begin to contribute to the erection of our HQ, our Civil Defence Headquarters, our National Emergency Plan Headquarters under international law. And there the officers would begin to be established. Jan Fourie, the head of logistics, would begin to erect all of the physical, the infrastructural, the office capacity that he needs to run the National Logistics Department for the purposes of supporting the logistical endeavors within the sectors under Oom Jan van der Merwe. I think that this is as clear as glass. So, we're coming up to 20 minutes. I'm not going to talk for much longer, but in days to come, perhaps we'll embroider some more, we'll elaborate some more, we'll explain and describe some more. Thank you for listening to this video, watching this video. If you liked it, please press the like button, share it, and subscribe. Thank you very, very much, and God bless all of you. Bye-bye.